from. My name is Yayo Segibuchek. I'm the GADRES co-chair representing UNESCO. And I'll pass the floor to Ms. Min Jung Kim, the Director of the Division for Education 2030 at UNESCO for her welcome remarks. So over to you, please, Min. Over to you. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, please.
Yes. Sorry, I had trouble finding the button to unmute. Warm greetings to everyone from UNESCO headquarters in Paris. So on behalf of UNESCO and as co-chair of the Global Alliance for Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience in the Education Sector, GADRES, I'm really honored to welcome you to this very important dialogue today. I wish to extend our special warm welcome and appreciation to Honorable Minister Conrad Omalike Saki, the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education of Sierra Leone, and Mr. Kamal Kishore, the UN Special Representative for Disaster Risk Reduction. It's really inspiring to see policymakers and practitioners from diverse sectors coming together today with a shared commitment to ensure schools and learning institutions are more resilient and to safeguard every child's right to education, especially the most vulnerable. As co-chair of GADRES, UNESCO fully supports the endorsement and implementation of the Comprehensive School Safety Framework, and we believe that building a more resilient education sector requires national ministries to develop education resilience and preparedness plans tailored to the specific risks affecting their countries. It also calls for investment in a resilient and green infrastructure and the integration of risk-specific content into curricula so that the education community is not only aware of risks, but are also prepared and equipped to respond effectively in times of crisis. I would just like to share a concrete example of this commitment in our work in Haiti through the Climate Adaptation and Crisis Risk Reduction in Schools project with financing from the Adaptation Fund. This initiative enhances school safety and disaster preparedness by assessing vulnerabilities using the VICES methodology, implementing risk reduction measures, and retrofitting or relocating high-risk schools. And so far, 622 schools have been assessed using the methodology, and more than 1,341 people have been trained in disaster risk management. The project demonstrates that targeted interventions can significantly strengthen school safety and preparedness, ensuring that school education continues even in the face of growing risks. We have recent figures from Education Cannot Wait, which says that over 234 million children and adolescents are experiencing disruptions to their education due to climate-related hazards, conflict, and displacement. This is really an alarming increase of 35 million in just 3 years. The impact of multiple hazards on education is rising, driven by climate change and demands urgent action. So today, discussion is not only about the challenges, but to focus on solutions. And the aim is to explore concrete pathways forward and share successful initiatives that are making education systems more resilient. Last year, 2024, has been a pivotal year for comprehensive school safety, from UNESCO Global Education Meeting in Brazil to high-level discussions at the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference in the Philippines, including a regional ministerial meeting in Central Asia and national workshop in Yemen, where school safety has gained significant momentum on the global agenda. But what does this progress look like in practice, and where do we go from here? Today's webinar aims to answer these questions by focusing on achievements in advancing comprehensive school safety and discussing what it takes for different sectors to contribute to this agenda, and presenting a roadmap for accelerating comprehensive school safety in 2025, guiding coordinated action for the year ahead. With the global platform for disaster risk reduction coming up in June this year, today's discussions will be key to shaping the next steps. We look forward to using this opportunity to turn awareness into action to ensure that every child has access to a safe and resilient learning environment. UNESCO looks forward to our fruitful discussions today and to continue to work together to implement solutions. So thank you so much for your participation today.
Thank you very much, Director Ming, for your welcome remarks. And I think you set the tone for this webinar to come. And of course, we look forward to working with those participating today and other partners for some time to come. Thank you very much. So now I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Kamal Kishore, the Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction and Head of the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDR. Mr. Kishore brings to his position nearly 3 decades of experience in disaster risk reduction, climate action, and sustainable development at the global, regional, national, and local levels, having worked in government, the United Nations, and civil society organizations. Prior to joining UNDRR, Mr. Kishore was the head of the Department of the National Disaster Management Authority of India, where he led the G20 working group on DRR and contributed to the development of the Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure. I know, Mr. Kishore, you have been a champion of promoting comprehensive school safety, and we are really, really pleased to have you here with us. So, floor is yours. Over to you, Mr. Kishore. Mr. Kishore, I believe you are connected.
Hi, good morning. We just need another minute to connect with Kamal because he's just commuting in between meetings. So just give me 1 second.
Okay. Okay, sure, of course. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Hi, I'm afraid we just need 3 more minutes. Apologies. Would it be possible if he joins in 3 minutes?
Sure, that is fine. So perhaps in order to, that's fine. We wait for Mr. Kishore to join. Thank you. Jana, please, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Yayoi. So good morning, afternoon, and night for colleagues. My name is Janaina, and I'm the Gathers Coordinator. I'm just going to ask kindly for my colleague, Anya, to just share the screen on the CSSF, and maybe I can give a very quick brief before we come out answer the question. So for the colleagues who are not familiar, here's the Comprehensive School Safety Framework that was mentioned by Ming, the director at UNESCO. This is like a very important tool that we use to promote school safety across the globe, and is the main tool that we use at GADRIS as well. So here, we just very, very, very briefly mention it. Here we have 4 dimensions. The first dimension, safe learning facilities, where we really look into pillar 1 to have a safer greening, look into construction quality control. And then we have the pillar 2, which is the school safety and education continuity management. Here's where we think about risk assessment. It's where we think about planning, how we can be better prepared for future emergencies and to all types of hazards. And then we have the pillar 3 that looks into the risk reduction and resilience education. Here we're going to find all the pedagogical approaches that are relevant to the comprehensive school safety framework, such as teacher training, pedagogical approaches, and also curriculum changes. So here are the three main components. And then, of course, we cannot do that without looking to enabling system and policies. So one of the points that GADRES advocates for is the change on policies, that we don't have only the education, ministers of education involved, but also we have disaster risk reduction colleagues, emergency colleagues, health colleagues, and climate change colleagues working together to be able to promote school safety. Very down on after the book, you're going to see that we also has cross-cutting elements. So for school safety, we need to consider also gender equality and disability and social inclusion. Those are key elements that we have to look into school safety. And of course, the comprehensive school safety framework needs to be contextualized to the different needs of the countries and consider the different risks as well that the countries faces. So if you haven't had the chance yet to become familiar with the comprehensive school safety framework, I invited you all to have a look. We're going to put the link on the chat as well, so you can learn more about the comprehensive school safety. And today, a lot of the examples that we're going to be bringing, it is around this framework as well. So I hope that it's helpful for all the colleagues who are joining today.
Thank you very much, Anna. I think it's important to have the quick introduction and also refresher for those of us who are familiar. So that's why we do have keynote speakers in this webinar, and hope to have the Mr. Kishore join us. And as I mentioned, introducing him, he's the head of a UNDRR and special representative of the UN Secretary General for DRR. So this intersectoral multidisciplinary approach is crucial to promoting and ensuring comprehensive school safety. I do hope that he's just on the way. As we heard a few minutes ago, joining us, and looking forward to hearing from him, his perspectives, and of course followed by the Honorable Minister of Sierra Leone to talk to hear more about his vision and in the lead role in doing so at the national level. So if you don't mind, should we? Okay. Great. Good morning, Mr. Kishore. Thank you so much for joining us in the midst of your busy agenda. Thank you. We've just introduced you already, so straight away ahead, the floor is yours. I hope you can hear me and you have everything set up there. Over to you, Mr. Kishore. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me to engage in this conversation today. At the outset, I would like to also thank you, GADRES, for all the support you provided in the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction in 13th October 2024. We focused on youth and children and school safety. So I think you really joined in to that effort, and we were able to have a very large mobilization across the world. Now, coming back to issues of school safety and our discussion today, I first want to say that normally people say that countries that have a good disaster risk management system have a good record of school safety. I would say that that is the other way around. Countries that have good school safety ultimately tend to have a good disaster risk management system as a whole. So it's really quite foundational for societal resilience to all kinds of disasters. However, I sometimes feel disappointed that this is a topic which has been talked about, for a very long time, at least during my entire professional career. I have seen talked about it, but not enough has happened. I think we need to do a lot more. We have to exhort governments, different parts of governments, private sector, private education providers, and people in general, the societies in general, to do more about school safety. I think just to sort of frame our discussions, I think there are three dimensions to it. The first, of course, is the physical resilience of schools and educational infrastructure. We know in so many disasters, we've lost children to the effects of disasters because the buildings they were housed in were not safe. They were not resilient. It has happened across the world in developing countries, in developed countries. So I think we have to really talk about the safety of the physical education infrastructure with a great sense of urgency. And in that context, whatever is the sort of flavor of the day, so to speak, we should just ride on that. For example, if there is, a much greater focus on what to do about extreme heat, we should be talking about how do we make our schools resilient to heat. So likewise, I think this is something which we cannot sort of let up. We really have to keep pushing for the resilience of physical infrastructure of schools and educational facilities. The second thing is the whole issue of simple, basic preparedness, even without hardening the physical infrastructure, such as doing drills in schools, marking evacuation routes. So really preparedness, which can be done with relatively low cost. There are, methods available for that. There are so many schools that have done that, but it really needs to happen at scale. And the third thing is that how do we integrate disaster risk reduction in the education programs, in the school curricula? Now here, there is again a lot has happened, geography textbooks of, students who are like 12, 13, 14 years old, in many countries have chapters on disaster risk reduction issues. There are some parts of the world where a separate subject has been introduced. But I just think that we have to approach this whole thing with some nuance, in the sense that, it's not always about adding additional subjects, adding just one module on disaster risk management. Because it's not a disaster risk management, people are not the only one who are trying to reach children. People who work on water and sanitation, people who work on other environmental aspects, gender, everyone wants to integrate things in educational curriculum. And that can make the whole education curriculum too unwieldy. But can we do this in a bit more imaginative way? We do some of, standalone disaster risk reduction stuff, but also integrate that into other subjects, show how histories of nations have been shaped by big disaster events, how consecutive years of drought, followed by poorly managed food security systems led to famine, which created a huge problem, for example, in a number of countries that were under the British colonial rule. And it really changed the whole history of those nations. So we really have to talk about disaster risk reduction not as something which is an additional subject, but something which is integral to human condition, and human beings have been managing risk for a very long time. Now we have to update our practices of managing risk in line with the kind of risks we are facing. So I think a bit more interesting, engaging way of bringing in disaster education is the third one. So I think these are the three fronts on which we need to advance. We have a comprehensive school safety framework. Many countries have adopted it. I would like it to be 100%. In June, I will have the opportunity to welcome many of you. We are looking forward to ministerial roundtable on school safety. So I really want to elevate the profile of this subject and infuse a great sense of urgency to this area of work across the world. Thank you very much. Happy to have a few questions and answers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kishore. I think your remarks are extremely important, inspiring, and one thing that struck me is what you said about school with safety is foundational for societal resilience, and I think that kind of sums up the centrality of education and schooling in promoting and ensuring societal and also national resilience, and in that context. So thank you very much. So if you allow me to ask you the follow-up question, and this is the question I think we would like to take advantage of your presence here, just to get the additional perspectives and on this matter. The climate crisis is making the need for school safety more urgent, both in terms of what education contributes to the resilience, and also in light of the impact of disasters on learning. And you talked about the extreme heat wave, in which we know have contributed to school closures for an extended period of time in many parts of the world. So what opportunities do you see to build bridges between the DR, education, and climate resilience communities? And how do we use these opportunities to maximize impact? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. I think it's an essay type question. One could speak on it for a very long time, but let me highlight a few very specific opportunities. I think one is that we know that in many countries there is a huge deficit in terms of school infrastructure. So, many more classrooms need to be built. That infrastructure needs to be modernized. It has to be made much more. It has to really create a much better environment for learning. So wherever governments are making large allocations for building schools, I think we really have to engage with them at that level and say that, please incorporate risk reduction measures in the development of this physical infrastructure. When you're trying to do that at the outset, the incremental cost of making it resilient is relatively low. It's 3%, 5%, something like that. School buildings are not very complex buildings. But when you are trying to retrofit after it has been built inadequately in terms of safety, then it costs a lot more. I will just give you an example from Italy. I was in Naples 2.5 weeks ago, and I saw a school building which had some issues with regards to earthquake safety, and retrofitting it. So they basically are retrofitting the school now. Retrofitting the school now requires 6 million euros, and it's not even a very old building. But if the seismic safety measures were incorporated in the beginning itself, it would not cost them 6 million euros. It could be done at 1/6 the cost. So I think that's just one example of how we have to engage with people who are investing in infrastructure, educational infrastructure, to build in safety. The second thing is that we have to bring in climate education, climate risk education much closer to students, to children who are in school. I think one example is that in some countries, there are simple weather stations have been installed in school premises, and children are asked to go and take readings, observe what is happening, not over days, but weeks and months, and have a better appreciation of different aspects of weather, how it affects our day-to-day life. And so I think it's much more interesting to do this rather than adding one more chapter and one more question paper and one more exam, not burdening children with additional tasks, but fun ways of learning new things. One dimension of it is also that we have to invest in building the capacity of teachers as well. I think in some countries we have come up with very specific resource material for teachers to talk about disaster risk reduction in a nuanced, sophisticated way to children. And the third thing, which is not so much directly connected to school safety, but it is nevertheless connected to education, is that in many countries, at the undergraduate level, I'm just now stretching this to higher education, civil engineers are not learning about hazard resistant construction. So they think that this is something they will learn in the second degree that they will do when they go on to do masters. I think this has got to change, because disasters are not abnormal. They are quite normal. They happen all around us. And it is something we have to deal with it as a matter of course and not as a matter of exception. So I don't know whether you're satisfied with my answer, but I did try.
Thank you very much. As you said, this is the essay type question, and we can have a whole different webinar discussing this. But thank you very much. And I think, we really appreciate your leadership in championing comprehensive school safety, and which is very much critical and very much appreciated by the CSS community. And GADRES really looks forward to continuing to work with you and your team at the UNDR, including, as you mentioned, through the global platform and in June. And thank you so much once again. And we look forward to continue to work with you at UNDR. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much
Thank
for this
you.
opportunity. And thank you for all your hard work, and greetings to all of you. I look forward to meeting all of you in person at some point of time and engaging in these issues and working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kishore. So we have another keynote speaker. This time we focus on the one country context, and we are very, very pleased to have Honorable Mr. Conrad Omarike Saki, the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education of Sierra Leone. And let me introduce a little bit about the Honorable Minister's background. Mr. Saki formerly acted as the chair of the Sierra Leone Teaching Service Commission. Prior to this, he was the chief executive officer of the Window Fellowship, a national education charity, as well as the head of information and advice at Anglia Ruskin University, amongst other senior level positions. The Honorable Mr. Saki holds a master's degree in education from the University College London Institute of Education and bachelor's degree at the honors level from Foray Bay College, University of Sierra Leone. He's also a chartered director, Institute of Directors in UK. Honorable Minister Saki, thank you very much for joining us in spite of your very busy schedule and also your leadership in this area at national level and potentially in the regional level in Africa. So floor is yours. Thank you, sir.
Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I am absolutely delighted to be here today, and it is indeed a pleasure for me to join you virtually today from the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education in Sierra Leone to announce an official endorsement of the Comprehensive School Safety Framework. This marks a significant milestone in our journey in ensuring that every child across Sierra Leone has access to safe, reputable, and continuous quality education. School safety is of utmost importance to Sierra Leone, particularly given our high vulnerability to the impacts of the climate crisis. Sierra Leone is amongst the top 10% most vulnerable countries to climate change globally, and our educational system is already feeling the burden of climate shocks. During the rainy season, we're experiencing intensified flooding and more frequent landslides, threatening the safety of our students, eroding school infrastructure, and disrupting learning every year. In the dry season, as we are experiencing right now, extreme heat threatens the welfare and health of our children in school buildings, not well equipped or ventilated, and droughts and wildfires pose further risk to schools, particularly in the northern regions. It is within this context that my ministry, on behalf of Sierra Leone, endorses the Comprehensive School Safety Framework as an important step towards building our educational system's resilience and ensuring a safe environment for learning. Permit me to outline some actions taken by my ministry. The first is the School Safety Survey. This endorsement follows Sierra Leone's submission to the Global Alliance's 2024 Global Comprehensive School Safety Survey in September last year, made possible through the crucial support of our national survey facilitator, UNICEF. Thanks to our close partnership and UNICEF's dedicated efforts, it is with pride that I note that Sierra Leone was amongst the countries to submit our survey inputs on time, and with the full participation of a breadth of cross-sectorial stakeholders, including other government ministries, development partners, and civil society organizations. Our submissions to this survey uncovered the significant progress that has been made to build a policy landscape that strengthens school safety, most importantly, through our comprehensive school safety policy, which was enacted in 2023. The three key pillars of school safety set out in this policy are closely aligned with that of the Comprehensive School Safety Framework's focus areas, covering 1, safe school facilities and learning environment. 2, school disaster management and risk reduction. And 3, the protection from violence and other forms of abuse and harm in and around schools. In this way, it follows the approach of the Comprehensive School Safety Framework of covering all hazards, all risks, and that may face learners. The policy covers every aspect of school safety, from natural disaster to gender-based violence and corporal punishment. As we progress with our valued partners in the implementation of this policy, the expertise provided by the Comprehensive School Safety Framework will be of great value in settling our best practice and key issues in the realms of school safety. With this endorsement, we reaffirm our commitment to strengthening school safety and resilience, ensuring that no child's education is disrupted by preventable risk. We look forward to continuing collaboration with our partners to turn policy into action and to create a safer learning environment for every child in Sierra Leone. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and congratulations to Sierra Leone and the ministry under your leadership on the endorsement of Comprehensive School Safety Framework. And thank you for this announcement here in this webinar. And also, it's great to know that you've managed with the UNICEF support to complete the policy survey, and we really look forward to counting on your role in Sierra Leone, your expertise, and also your promising practices as you translate the CSF framework into action at the national level. And of course, we look forward to knowing more about that as other countries in Africa and beyond consider endorsement and also put into practice. So thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your participation in this webinar as a keynote speaker. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll move on. We've for the past 1 hour or so, we've listened to from UN perspectives and the multi-sectoral approaches to comprehensive school safety, and a very strong leadership, as you heard from the Honorable Minister from Sierra Leone. So we'll go straight away to understand, to find out more about what's happening at the regional level. And the first to learn about is from Latin America, and our GADRES coordinator, Jana, will represent the Latin American and Caribbean Regional Education Group. So please, over to you, Jana. Thank you.
Thank you, Yayoi. It's very early still in this side of the world, so I represent the colleagues from the Regional Education Group for Latin American and Caribbean. I will be very brief, but I want to state some of the key achievements they have in the 2024. So I will go through them. The first one is that in that specific region, there is a collaborative approach between the GADRES, the Global Alliance for Disaster Risk Reduction, GCP, the Global Coalition for Protecting Education from an Attack, the INE as well, and the IAC, the Spanish Cooperation, together with the members of the regional group. There has been workshops at the regional level to support the countries, specific target countries, to advance on a comprehensive approach that looks into all types of hazards, including natural, climate-induced, and conflict-related. So the idea that they had for last year was to bring all these different actors together to be able to unify an approach to school safety. So we don't have just one focus on conflict, or just one focus on climate, or one focus on DRR, but harder we have one comprehensive approach. So that is this initiative. It's very innovative. It's happening in Latin America, and this year they will remain with the next steps to support directly the countries. The other initiative and achievement they have last year was the launch of Safe Horizons from led by Plan International. It's a sub-regional initiative that looks into safe schools on the Andean countries. And they have the participation of Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, in a face-to-face event, and with the leadership of the Minister of Education of Ecuador. This initiative has the goal as well to create a sub-regional platform for the countries in the Andean area. The third one that they have as an achievement, and that last year they also have the 7th Consultative Forum for Central America Policy for Comprehensive Disaster Risk Management. The group was also present discussing lessons learned, experience, and sharing how different countries, particularly in the Central America, has been implementing comprehensive school safety. So that also was a wonderful opportunity for them to work with CICA, which is the Central America Integration System. And of course, for this year, they have also other goals, but the very close one is that there will be a meeting as well for the other sub-regional in Latin America, for the Caribbean, where they're going to be looking into also, again, looking to move ways forward to be able to continue the implementation of comprehensive school safety. So the regional group has a very strong agenda on comprehensive school safety framework, and they keep pushing for it. So we hope we will see more from them at this year as well. Thank you very much, Yayoi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anna. I just want to highlight the brilliant work the Latin American Caribbean region did last year and started. I think it's quite a groundbreaking to bring all these partners on board, and GCPA and INE and its regional group around comprehensive approach. And I think those of us working in emergency settings, we see the compounded crisis situations, right? Not only the climate induced crisis, but also compounded by pre-existing and unfortunately armed conflict situations. So comprehensive approach to that through bringing together different alliances at the global level and also regional group. And that's really, really promising practice. And I think we should further promote the GADRES and also and bringing other networks as well across the board. So thank you so much, Jana. And of course, I know it's very early for you as well in Latin American and Caribbean region. Thank you. So straight away, we move on to West and Central Africa, and we have a colleague from UNESCO, Yoshe, and representing the West Central Africa Education in Emergencies Working Group. So over to you, Yoshe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yayoi, and Excellencies, dear experts and participants. I'm Yoshe Kaga, and from UNESCO Regional Office for West Africa, based in Senegal, and I have the privilege to speak on behalf of the working group. The working group has become the regional affiliate of GADRES in 2023, and the working group is co-led by UNICEF and the Norwegian Refugee Council and has over 170 members and is one of the most active working groups within the regional SDG 4 mechanism. So Western Central Africa is a region of great potential. Its population is very young, with more than 64% under the age of 24. And this large youth population represents a historic opportunity to promote progress and generate innovative solutions for transformative change. However, the region also faces important challenges. Last year, the number of school closures due to insecurity has continued to rise. These closures have impacted 2.8 million children in 2024, up from 2.5 million the previous year. Also, the climate change is increasing the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events such as floods, landslides, drought, heat waves, as we heard from the Honorable Minister as well. Over 1.2 million people were displaced by the flooding alone in 2024 compared to 624,000 people the previous year. So they are disrupting schooling and learning and causing long-term impacts. So against this background, our working group has started engaging seriously in CSSF in 2023 by organizing 2 webinars to launch the new framework in the region. And in 2024, CSSF policy survey was implemented in the Republic of Congo, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone. And we have organized a specific session on comprehensive school safety within the framework of the very strategic event for the African continent, which is called the Continental Education Conference, held in Mauritania last December, that marked the African Union's Year of Education. So looking ahead, our plan as a GADRES affiliate is to share the results of the analysis of CSS policy survey responses and support evidence-informed discussions and actions, and to advocate for increasing the number of countries officially endorsing the CSSF. So in our region, only Sierra Leone, as we have heard, and Nigeria have endorsed the CSSF. So we're really inspired by the leadership of Honorable Minister from Sierra Leone and coming from our region. So we would really like to learn a lot more from your country, Honorable Minister, and in building the alliances and movements towards CSSF. So with GADRES, our working group is embracing the all-hazard approach inscribed in CSSF. Having traditionally considered school safety from the angle of insecurity and conflict predominantly, our region will greatly benefit from a more holistic approach. We hope to play a catalytic role in making this happen on the ground and at scale, and in collaboration with all of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Yoshe. And it's really, I think, just to mention from my part, is a Continental Education Conference that was held in Mauritania. I think it was organized by AU and also UNICEF, and the West Central Regional Education Group was the work that you did last year. You have going was quite instrumental to putting this CSF agenda, right, in the agenda of this Continental Education Africa. So I think that as we heard from Honorable Minister in Sierra Leone, I think your region has a lot to offer, a lot to that we can learn from, and at the global level as well, and from different regions as well. So thank you very much. And of course, at GADRES, we look forward to supporting regional affiliate work this year and also beyond. Thank you very much. So now moving on to Central Asia, and we have colleague from UNICEF, Mr. Tigran Tovmasian. I hope I pronounced your last name properly, but I saw you, Tigran, connected early on. So over to you from Central Asia.
Thank you very much, Yayoi. My name is Tigran Tovmasian. I represent UNICEF Regional Office for Europe and Central Asia. And as most of the comprehensive school safety related activities were focused in Central Asia, I will present what we achieved over there. This is the most prone area in Europe, Central Asia region. 22 countries in the region, 5 countries in Central Asia. So the key event was the regional platform for 76 senior government officials from 5 countries, international national partners, for organization of the Central Asia Ministerial Meeting to discuss the progress with the implementation of the comprehensive school safety framework, with the aim aligning with today's topic to accelerate the investments in safety of children and improving the national policies, legislation, procedures, sharing the best practices, and encouraging and promoting models for participation of children and young people. As a result of this event organized with the umbrella of GADRES by UNICEF, UNDRR, UNESCO, the World Bank, and the Almaty-based Center for Emergency Situation and DRR, the governments of Central Asian countries adopted the ministerial declaration. 4 out of 5 countries signed the document and committed for enhanced investments, improving DRR climate change education, investments in educational facilities, promoting partnership, encouraging and creating opportunities for engagement of children in the process. The second key event was the Europe Central Asia Regional Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction in Montenegro, where 40 young people, children and adolescents, developed and adopted the call to action of the Road to Resilience for Europe and Central Asia Children and Youth document, where they clearly are asking their governments to develop and adopt national comprehensive school safety programs, enhance the funding for DRR and climate change education, and provide space for their participation. In terms of enabling global and regional environment, there are 7 countries from the region that are members of the worldwide movement for safer schools. Still need more countries to be part of it. We also encourage and support the governments to join the Declaration on Children, Youth and Climate Action. 12 more countries joined this document. There is the Central Asia Regional Strategy for promoting a culture of sustainable development and engaging children and youth in the climate agenda. And there is the Central Asian Strategy for disaster risk reduction. As to the country context, all Central Asian countries have national DRR strategies that is aligned with the Sendai framework for DRR and incorporates requirements for addressing issues of children and disasters. However, there are also policies and strategies in the countries requiring enhanced education system, resilient education system. An example of it is National Strategy for Education Development in Tajikistan that clearly relies on the comprehensive school safety framework. Another example from Kyrgyzstan is the government program on safe schools and preschool education institutions. So similarly, other documents are developed and adopted by other governments, and currently UNICEF and partners, UNESCO, UNDRR are supporting the internalization and implementation of those strategies along with these requirements and commitments under the regional declaration adopted last year. There is an example from Kazakhstan would be these comfortable schools. The government pledged to build 400 new schools by 2026 with the consideration and of the safety inclusivity requirements. In Kyrgyzstan, UNICEF country office in partnership with Ministry's Emergency and Education supported more than 1,800 schools to enhance children resilience. In Tajikistan, the WASH in schools initiatives strengthen the access to WASH. So those are just a few examples from the region, and we all are together partnering to support enhancing resilience of children in the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tigran. And I just wanted to really congratulate you and your team and Central Asia on having organized this regional conference. I just wanted to highlight that last September. And my colleague from UNESCO reached out in a really timely manner as we were looking to organize one parallel session on climate crisis during the global education meeting in Brazil. And Jana, as a guidance coordinator, went to Central Asia to support, but also it was great to have the deputy minister from Kyrgyzstan attending and representing the region, and also making clear this regional approach to working together to promote comprehensive school safety, but at the same time to highlight some country examples. So thank you very much for your efforts and your colleagues' effort, and of course from graduates, we look forward to supporting that and highlighting as an example globally. So thank you so much, Tigran. So please stay tuned. We are a bit behind the schedule, but I think it's important to have this the important updates from the different regions. We have the last one, but not the least, from Asia and Pacific, and we have the pleasure of having two colleagues representing the regional affiliate from the Asia Pacific region, Nia Tring Trong and Nadia Urmano. And if you can please provide us, give us some regional highlights from the last year and what's ahead. And of course, then we have a very important and interesting panel of 4 coming up next. So please stay connected. Over to you, Nia and Nadia. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Moderator, and good morning, good afternoon, distinguished guests, and our honorable guest speakers, panelists. We are coming from the Asia Pacific countries, and for today, my name is Nia Tring, and I'm representing the APCSS, or Asia Pacific Coalition for School Safety. I'm the secretariat, and joining with me today, we have also another colleague who is co-leading this group with me, Nadia Pumano, coming from Save the Children, Australia. So for Asia Pacific Coalition for School Safety, we are the regional affiliate of the GATRES, and we have been established since 2012. It has been a long history and ways forward with the comprehensive school safety implementation in Asia Pacific. And for APCSS, we have an aim, big one, to create this space for regional level of coordination and also discussions to share and to collaborate for technical resources, as well as to promote for comprehensive school safety across the countries in the Asia Pacific regions. And we have been also working hard as far as collaborating with our partners in the regions to promote and document a lot of good practices, as well as model policies on school safety in the regions. Some flagships has been shared widely during the past decades, for example, the ASEAN Safe School initiatives and the ongoing activities that we are still having in our country, especially in Southeast Asia, South Asia as well, and recently in the Pacific countries on school safety implementation. Our core members include the Plan International, Save the Children, World Vision International, UNICEF, UNESCO, IFRC, ADPC, and also UNDRR at the regional level, who are collaborating for comprehensive school safety, so supporting this implementation at the country levels to roll out the comprehensive school safety framework 2030, which was launched 2 years ago in 2022. So a bit of our highlights in terms of the achievement last year that we have been collaborating and collective activities in 2024 included the launch of the localized translated comprehensive school safety framework, some local languages, for example, in Thailand, in Vietnam, we already had it finalized. We also had some other countries ongoing and completed, for example, China already completed, Indonesia completed for Bahasa language, and a number of other countries are going forward, for example, in Cambodia for Khmer language, in Laos, and also in Bangladesh and Nepal as well. That was one of our efforts in terms of rolling out the comprehensive school safety framework in our regions. Last year, we were also happy to collaborate and also join in the Regional Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reductions in Manila, hosted by the governments of Philippines and the UNDRR. We already had side events as well as the partnership with other colleagues and internal membership. We runs the booths and exhibitions areas in the marketplace. We also had support and joined and collaborated with the major group of children and youth to develop and also to advocate for the children and youth stakeholders' call to actions on disaster risk reduction and climate resilience activities last year in October. So yeah, those were some of the highlights activities that we already had to fulfill our aims in terms of advocacy and also knowledge management. Going forward, we are also having some ongoing activities, for example, the ongoing partnership with Prudence Foundation, and we are the backstop technically for these activities in some countries like Cambodia, Indonesia, Thailand, and previously in Philippines as well. And going forward in 2025, I would invite my colleagues, Nadia, to share some key events and highlights in the next part of the year for your information. Over to you, Nadia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nia. So for 2025, building on the APCSS achievements and accomplishments in 2024, the coalition aims to continue supporting the capacity building of Asia-Pacific governments and other country partners to scale up the CSS implementation in the region. So among the activities planned for the first half of 2025 are the national launch of the translated or localized CSSF framework in Cambodia and in Laos. And then we are also expecting to provide support to additional countries who will be implementing the same in the second half of the year. Second, in collaboration with several country partners in Southeast Asia, the APCSS is also supporting the organization of a cross-country learning workshop on comprehensive school safety implementation for ASEAN member states. So this face-to-face event, which is planned to be held in March 2025 in Bangkok, Thailand, aims to share and discuss innovative approaches, learnings, and good practices from different countries in the region in implementing school safety in the diverse context, risk context of the region. And the expected output from this workshop, apart from learning exchanges, is to identify recommendations to update the existing ASEAN Common Framework for Comprehensive School Safety, which is a regional document developed by the ASEAN member states in 2015. And we want to align it with the new CSS framework. And then third, we're also planning to provide further technical support to the Pacific partners in their revitalization of the Pacific Coalition for the Advancement of School Safety, or PICAS. So PICAS is a sub-region group of the APCSS. So we wanted to provide additional support to them, including in their development of their sub-region roadmap on CSS or action plans. And then finally, the APCSS is also supporting different partners, including the children and youth stakeholders, in developing learning events like a webinar, which is planned to be held in the first half of this year. So this webinar is led by the Major Group for Children and Youth, and it's focusing on child-centered DRR, climate resilience, and school safety. So we will be providing colleagues with the details of all of these activities in the future dates. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nadia and Dia, and really always great to hear a lot of updates from your region. Particularly, you talked about the rolling out of CSF in different languages, and that is to ensure that the uptake of the framework and also to be able to use in different countries. I mean, a region as diverse as yours, it's crucial. So of course, we are here to continue to support that effort as well, in addition to other initiatives you have. So thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you so much to colleagues who provided the regional updates. So we are quickly moving on to the next session, which is we have very important and interesting panel of four colleagues. And just allow me to quickly introduce the four colleagues. Ms. Nicole Gale is the Executive Director of Prudence Foundation, the community investment arm of Prudence. And Ms. Petra Heiser, she is the Executive Director of the Geneva Global Hub for Education Emergencies Secretariat. And Dr. Valentina Baltag is the head of the Adolescent and the Young Adult Health Unit in the WHO Department of Maternal, Newborn, Child, Adolescent Health and Aging. And finally, a colleague from UNESCO IAP, Ms. Talia Tseging, is the Education Program Specialist at the UNESCO International Institute for Educational Planning, IAP. She works on crisis-sensitive planning in the education sector. So if you allow me to go straight ahead, first with a panel, first with Ms. Gale. And if we can turn to you, and could you please share why the foundation supports safe schools, and share any insights you have from your experience and approach? How does this work align with the ethos of insurance business in terms of risk reduction and resilience? Over to you, please, Ms. Gale.
Thank you, Yayo, and thanks for having me. So Prudence Foundation, we are a corporate foundation for Prudential. Prudential is one of the largest life and health insurance companies. We operate in Asia and Africa. And as you know, insurance, in the insurance industry, risk assessment or risk management is our bread and butter. And we believe that prevention is better than cure. So in the foundation work that we do, we bring that ethos into all the program efforts as well. So that is one of the core reasons why, as when we set up, when the foundation was set up in 2012, we immediately look at what would be a disaster risk reduction program that we can support. And so since then, very much right after that, Safe School has been the key program, our flagship program that we have been supporting for the past 12 years. And when we first started with the Safe School program, we worked with NGO partners like Save the Children and Plan International. And throughout the years, we have gained a lot of insights, a lot of learnings. How do we make our philanthropic capital a lot more impactful in this journey? And I'm very pleased to share that, we over the years, we have really fine-tuned our approach alongside with our partners to make it to where it is today. So I'm going to just very quickly share our key takeaways. I'm sure all of you are working in the development sector. There are already, things that we understand, the engagement with the stakeholders, the collaboration, and the importance of public and private partnerships. But two key takeaways that I kind of learned over the years is that firstly, when we started Safe School, we kind of go on by school approach, and we understand that in the long-term basis, it's very hard to scale. When we started in Philippines, we could only support 10 schools in a year, and in the Philippines there are 47,000 schools, and how long is going to take us, to get that? So over time, we challenge ourselves together with our partners to always look at the approaches with the lens of can the approaches be scaled? Can it be sustained? Scalability and sustainability becomes our forefront considerations whenever we look at, how do we do a program design? And then along the way, we also understand that, solutions has to be long-term. And of course, a lot of key stakeholders and involving the governments and making it into an ecosystem that also include the voices of the teachers, of the students, of the communities alongside with the governments is really important to develop a robust solutions that works for the long term. And the third thing is that as we explore different approaches, capacity building and awareness and putting in the disaster management system, we realize that technology can play such a strong role. It is such a strong tool as an enabler for the comprehensive school safety to be implemented at scale and also be institutionalized. One of the best case and studies that we have in the Philippines working with Save the Children is the development of the disaster risk reduction management information system that really looks at the very timely data accurate data that provides very efficient analysis that allows very quick actions to be taken and allows disaster management information system to, to build much better disaster management plans. So I think these are all the, along the way, we have kind of gained all these insights and very keen to really have these best practices to be shared amongst all the practitioners such that people can learn and be more efficient in planning the implementation of Safe School. Over years as well, and in more recent years, we have looked at our funding support from program downstreaming to support a more global framework and a long-term solutions for the school safety. And I must say that I think the comprehensive school safety is such an important framework because it unites everybody into a common language. Everybody understand what it means by having this framework. And so it gives us really, great, very proud to support the revision of the framework in 2021 on the back of the pandemic, as we realized that the hazards that schools are facing, education is facing, is not limited to just natural disaster or natural hazards, but across all different risks. And that's why we really wanted to support the revision of the comprehensive safe school, and very encouraging to see that so many countries, so many Ministry of Education has endorsed the Safe School. So I'll stop here and happy to take more questions later. Thank you, Yayo.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gill, and thank you very much for your strong support and also commitment and to promoting and comprehensive school safety. And it's very clear with the examples you provided and how you're supporting, how that's connected to the philosophy of your foundation and also your work. Thank you very much. So let me turn now to the Dr. Batak from WHO. And my question to you is, how does the World Health Organization contribute to comprehensive school safety, particularly ensuring a healthy learning environment and maintaining education? If you can kindly stick to your time, that would be really great. Thank you so much, Dr. Batak. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Checking, do you hear me? Is the sound good? Can you please confirm?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thanks. Yes, in 3 minutes, I want to focus on 3 aspects of our work. First is we do believe that a school cannot be resilient and operate well during emergencies of all kind of emergencies if it is not fit for purpose in normal times. A health promoting school should be a health promoting at all times, and only this will ensure that it might be also resilient during emergencies. For this, we promote together with UNESCO and UNICEF the initiative, which the aim is in the title, making every school a health promoting school. And we have published global standards to support countries how to achieve this aim. I believe organizers will share with participants the link to the guidance that aims to support governments in making every school a health promoting school by building health promoting education systems. My second point is about the vital importance of linking pupils with services and healthcare services in particular. That's one of the 8 global standards of health promoting schools. For this, we published the WHO guideline on school health services, and attention, this year, we are releasing the implementation guidance for school health services. Just think about that we invest, for every $100 invested in education, we only invest $1 in pupils' health. But if the pupil is hungry or ill or misses school because of the menstruation, then this other $100 is wasted because the pupil is not able to assimilate the content and to learn and thrive. So that is my second point, linking pupils with school with health services through building comprehensive school health services. And we do have guidance that can support governments in doing so. And my third point is our work in standardizing the monitoring and evaluation for school health. Many actors, and this webinar is the testimony, how many actors are interested in supporting school health. But we want to have a coherent approach how we monitor progress. For this reason, together with UNESCO, UNICEF, other agencies, we have developed indicators that measure global standards for health promoting school. Moreover, there is a web platform that any country can join, and by answering just 2 questionnaires, it is not as simple, but you can have your scores for global standards. You can see how well you are performing against what we call a health promoting school. We also, in our global indicators for adolescent health monitoring, one of the indicators is specifically about school health services. It measures the proportion of schools that offer comprehensive school health services. We did share with the organizers the link to all this guidance, and I think today we are having a very important discussion. Would be very happy to answer your questions. Thanks, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pardag. If it's okay, let me go straight to the next panelist, Ms. Daria Seguin from IAEP. And if you can kindly share your perspective on what kind of tools can be used to support comprehensive school safety and resilient education planning, since IAEP is the expert institution promoting integrated approach to education planning. So if you can share, that would be great. Thank you, Ms. Seguin.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And really delighted to be here with you today. So at UNESCO IAP, as Yayoi mentioned, we support ministries of education to strengthen their capacities for crisis-sensitive education sector planning processes. So first off, I'd really like to emphasize the importance of supporting comprehensive school safety and resilient education planning at all levels of the education system. So really from central to school level. And also emphasize that in speaking about tools, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Comprehensive School Safety Framework as a user-friendly tool for framing an all hazards, all risks approach to school safety, which we at IAP often use in our discussions with ministries of education and also with other education stakeholders. Okay, so how to support comprehensive school safety and resilient education planning, and what tools can we mobilize? I'd like to start by talking about harnessing existing education data tools because relevant data and information help ministries of education to make evidence-informed decisions at all phases of the planning process. So I think we all know well, ministries of education generate a considerable amount of data on a regular basis, including through education management information systems. But this data doesn't always include specific indicators that enable education stakeholders to analyze and understand the impacts of risks on the education sector and, of course, on schools more specifically. Oftentimes we see that available data tend to focus on response and recovery, so after schools have already been impacted by a hazard. However, as we know well in this GADRES community, preventing a hazard from becoming a disaster is really key. And to achieve this, we need comprehensive data on elements related to preparedness and prevention as well. So this is why we think it's important to identify data and information needs and gaps in current data sources and data collection tools, such as annual school census surveys or inspectorate and quality assurance reports, or other school level surveys on specific thematic areas, and include specific questions to support crisis sensitive educational planning in these existing tools. I wanted to draw your attention to some tools that IAP has developed to support such processes. IAP's developed global public goods on this subject to frame, diagnose, and institutionalize education in emergencies, data production and use for crisis-sensitive planning, including a step-by-step data diagnosis toolkit. I believe that those links will be shared. I'd also like to highlight the value of drawing on data beyond the education sector for enhanced planning. So this data can then be merged with education sector data to help ministries of education to assess and quantify the impacts of hazards on the education system. So to explain this a little bit more, this could include data from a country's Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, statistical agency, or National Geographic Institute. For example, overlaying school location data with information from the climate sector can help countries identify and visualize which specific schools are most exposed to which risks. So bringing this data together in a risk analysis can help Ministry of Education officials to define strategies and specific plans for the education sector. IIP has also developed various tools to support the use of geospatial data in educational planning and management, including schools to ascertain the school-age populations exposed to natural hazards, and also a tool to apply a multi-criteria decision analysis for site classification. And I believe, again, that these, well, the relevant links will be shared also in the chat. So I'm cognizant of the time, but I would really just like to add before concluding that there can also be, of course, a number of different, context-specific school-level tools that can also support comprehensive school safety. A country example, we've been working recently in Jordan to support the ministry to implement the national level crisis and risk management strategy for the education sector. And we worked closely with the ministry to develop a self-assessment tool for schools, which will be used to inform school level planning for crisis and risk management, and also to support planning for crisis and risk management at the field directorate level. Again, it's really important to recognize that there's a multitude of tools in different contexts, needs assessment tools or templates for supporting the development of school level safety plans or to foster child and youth engagement and disaster risk reduction. It's really, there are many examples, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why it's just highly beneficial for us to have the opportunity in webinars like this to discuss and exchange ideas and information, and really just learning from each other's experiences. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, and happy to take any questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ging. I hope we have more time, but thank you so much for sharing those tools that are available. And we see some of them, key ones in the chat. So please, if you can, please, colleagues connected to this webinar to make use of those tools that are at our disposal. So finally, I wish to turn to Ms. Petra Heiser from Geneva Hub for Education Emergencies. And my question to you, Petra, is what can further drive preparedness and comprehensive school safety for education in fragile and crisis-affected settings? Over to you, Petra. Thank you. Great to see you. Thank you.
Great to see you too, Yayoi, and thank you so much for having me. Briefly, for those of you who don't know, the EIE Hub, as we call it in brief, it's an alliance of 55 very diverse members, including member states, UN agencies, funds, philanthropy actors, and civil society, many of whom are here today as well on this webinar. And after we've seen so much of the great regional work and also what colleagues are working on with countries at global level, I'd like to speak a bit more from our point of view, of course, at the global level. What are 3 key avenues to drive preparedness and comprehensive school safety for education in fragile and crisis-affected settings? So one, I think, and today is really a great start, we need to talk about what works. To shift the mindset, and really we need to have powerful messages and the evidence. And to see real change, we must specifically highlight how preparedness protects education investments and how it can strengthen resilience in fragile and crisis-affected settings. To support this agenda and also to drive it forward, the EIE Hub members will publish their 2025 flagship paper on preparedness and anticipatory action for education in emergencies this June. Beyond, of course, compelling messages and evidence, we also need to seize key global moments. And in 2025, there are several of these which are on our agenda. We have the Humanitarian Networks and Partnerships Weeks in March in Geneva. And of course, also the special representative on DRR mentioned the global platform in June, which is very high on our members' agenda to speak about comprehensive school safety. We also need to have a look out onto the UN General Assembly, COP30, the 5th International Conference on the Safe Schools Declaration in November in Kenya, because they all provide a platform to influence policy, inspire ambition, and also secure funding. And 3, collective action. No single actor can tackle this alone, and we've seen all this great work happening in the region between so many different actors, ministries, and entities. So we need to work further to break silos and cooperate and collaborate across the humanitarian development nexus, but also with DRR, protection, climate, and other actors. And at the EIE Hub, really, that's what we're all about, to bring people, mandates, and resources together to create lasting solutions. To give you an example, right now, we're finalizing a letter to the Fund for Responding to Loss and Damage, which is currently being set up. And we encourage them to prioritize education in climate vulnerable and crisis affected countries. Because education systems are not only experiencing significant loss and damage, but as we all know, they're key to building resilience and preventing future harm. So look out for this letter from the EIE Hub as an example of how we're working across different sectors. So to conclude this brief intervention, to say that powerful messages and evidence shape the narrative. Key moments allow us to amplify this message, and collective action turns commitments into reality. If we want impact, we must seize the opportunities and work together across sectors. From the EIE Hub, we're definitely committed to drive this agenda, and we invite everyone to work with us and step this work up. Back to you, Yayoi.
Thank you very much, Petra. So now, just conscious of the time, but very much I'm hoping that everyone stays connected until the end, because we have more to come. I would like to dig deeper into the importance of collaborative approach to school safety in emergencies. So for this, I would like to call upon Ms. Ryoko Takahashi, who joins us from the floor. And Ms. Takahashi is the team lead of the WHO Global Initiative for the Public Health and Social Measures in the Health Emergencies Program. So Ms. Takahashi, in the context of health emergencies, which initiative does WHO have to support the continuity of learning? If you can share briefly, we really appreciate it. Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Takahashi.
Great. Thank you very much, Yayoi. Hello, everybody. I think the picture we all hope for and every community wants is a school filled with students learning and playing without a care in the world. But during an outbreak, schools can become high-risk environments, shaking that sense of safety. So friends and neighbors fall ill, parents worry, teachers have questions, students feel anxious. So how do we protect everybody while ensuring learning continues? So in the World Health Organization Health Emergencies Program, we play the role by providing expertise in risk assessment, surveillance, epidemiology, vaccination, and public health measures. So alongside UNESCO and UNICEF, we don't do this alone. We offer evidence-informed guidance to mitigate these risks. So for example, simple but effective health measures such as hand washing, cough etiquette, cleaning shared spaces, screening for symptoms are essential. We advise to implement these measures early on, preventing health emergencies from escalating to a point where preventing health emergencies does not require restrictive and ultimate measures like school closures. So above and beyond that, schools must know how to respond if someone shows symptoms, how to support students and staff in isolation, ensure continuity learning, addressing stigma, and providing mental and psychosocial support. So health crisis should not become an education crisis, and WHO now has a dedicated initiative on public health and social measures that integrates health, education, and social well-being perspectives. I think Nadia had shared some of the links to these important resources in the chat. We've been gathering global evidence on the effectiveness of these health measures and social protection policies that were used during COVID-19 pandemic. Our comprehensive PHSM Knowledge Hub houses a database of research and guidance that you can immediately access now, and tools to synthesize and review evidence. And additionally, and this is Watch the Space announcement, we're developing the Decision Navigator, a structured tool that enables systematic approach to decision-making on how to select, balance, and adjust these measures and consider unintended negative consequences and ethical principles. So I just want to leave you with this, that we see safe schools as a shared responsibility. We need to work together, students, teachers, families, school administrators, and all relevant UN agencies, not only to manage outbreaks, but also safeguard education, protect health, and secure the future of our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Takahashi, for your intervention from the floor, so to speak. Now we'll go straight to the final round of what's called quick fire. It's a new word that I'm learning. It's a final question. You have only 1 minute. Kindly asking the four panelists to sum up in 1 minute. And so my question to all of you, starting with Petra, is in your opinion, from your perspective, if we are really successful, what we have achieved over the next year? In other words, what are we celebrating in December 2025? So over to you, Petra, first, please.
Thank you, Yayoi, and such an important question to set us up for success. So definitely in December 2025, I hope that preparedness and school safety can be at the center of global discussions to drive actions, secure stronger commitments from governments, philanthropy, and key actors to protect education investments before crisis hit. And if we see more countries endorsing and implementing the CSSF and the Safe School Declaration as well, and turning policies into real protection for children, youth, and fragile and crisis-affected countries, it would have been a good year. So very much on standby to work with all of you towards that goal.
Thank you so much, Petra. Over to you, Dr. Batak.
No, just to say that to achieve the goal, making every school a health-promoting school, a partnership of many actors is required at the global level, at the regional level, but also, of course, at the country level. So we are here to be part of those partnerships, to lead some of them, and to provide normative guidance and evidence-based solution to our common goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Talia.
Thank you so much. Agreed, great question, and it is exciting to look ahead. From a planning perspective, I think success is in part seeing increased instances of relevant evidence-informed policy measures to support comprehensive school safety. So this really touches in part on that foundational element of the comprehensive school safety framework. So this could be done through standalone policies or plans, or through content that's included in other strategic planning documents, such as education sector plans. And I think I'd just like to emphasize, I think this has come out a lot through the different interventions as part of this webinar, but everyone has a role to play in ensuring comprehensive school safety within a country from central to school level, and that planning is really a key way to ensure that this vision for the education sector is clearly articulated and understood by all relevant actors. So just to emphasize that. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Talia. So now finally over to you, Ms. Gail.
Thank you. I just want to say that I think the title of this webinar resonates with me very well, which is Accelerating Awareness to Action. So I know that there has been a policy surveying going around, and the report is to be published. And my wish for the end of this year is for all the countries that has participated in the policy survey also adopts, endorse, and implement Safe School by the end of this year. And I also know that I think, the national adaptation plans is galvanizing a lot of attention and a lot of actions from across the countries. And so really moving up the agenda to mainstream Safe School and integrate Safe School into all national agenda. That would be, a great way to end the year. And a little bit more greedy, I think we need to galvanize a lot more investment financing into Safe School. I think that's, very greedy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we're starting still at the beginning of the year, and we very much hope to be able to go through different milestones and also opportunities throughout the year to get to where you said you would like us to be. So I think, as you mentioned, Ms. Nigel, I think this the title of this webinar, Turning Awareness into Action, Translating Commitment into Action, Multi-Sectoral Approaches, and Shared Responsibility. I think we all on the same page. So now, thinking about 2025 ahead, I would like to request request Anya from GADRES team to come and join to share with us the roadmap ahead for 2025 that has an important year, that is an important year already for comprehensive school safety agenda across the world. And so we have the representative from advocacy team from GADRES, Anya, to share our roadmap. So, but before that, I would like to thank the panelists and for having joined us. So over to you, Anya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yayoi, and thank you very much to all of our excellent panelists. It's been brilliant to hear the importance of coordination and how we collaborate to really, as Nicole said, accelerate comprehensive school safety. These are some of the key moments that GADRES will be working towards and through in order to achieve comprehensive school safety this year, or to promote it. So we, of course, have the webinar today. We also have a number of resources coming out, including the results of the policy survey you've heard about already, and self-study modules to help build the capacity of colleagues working in school safety to implement the findings of the policy survey as well. We then have a pre-event in May for ambassadors that are Geneva-based in order to feed into that global platform on disaster risk reduction that we've already heard about. The global platform is an incredibly key moment where we can see ministers of disaster risk reduction, education, health, and others make these really strong commitments to change tact on school safety, to make 2025 the year that we achieve comprehensive school safety commitments for every child in every country. And we have strong support from very high level people, our panelists, the special representative, and among many others to really make that a reality. We also have the special rapporteur on education who is focusing her report on school safety. And then throughout the year, a number of other global moments, including the COP conference, a Safe Schools conference in Kenya, and the G20, all of which allow us to see the global platform not just as a standalone moment, but as part of this really important journey towards comprehensive school safety for all children. We will, of course, share this roadmap with the attendees, and we encourage you to work with us at GADRES to really make this a reality in 2025. I will pass now back to Yayoi for the final wrap-up of today's event.
Thank you very much, Anya, and thank you all for joining us today. And this sums up today's webinar. It's a first of many to follow. As you saw, Anya's roadmap for the year, it's full of joint actions for the entire year. So hope you join us, amplify at the global and as regional and national level. So thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you'll be part of this, continue to be part of GADRES movement, working together to achieve comprehensive school safety for all. And here you'll see links and details of how to learn more about the Alliance, and Padlet will remain open. Sorry, I think I forgot to mention about a Padlet. I was supposed to have mentioned that the participants could contribute to this. What is it you would like to see achieved at the end of 2025? But it will remain open. So if you can kindly share your perspectives, that'd be great. And we'll circulate this alongside a set of resources after this event. You already see dropped in the chat a lot of resources as mentioned by panelists. So none of us can achieve comprehensive school safety alone, as very much stressed and mentioned by all speakers from keynote, regional representatives, and also panelists, and open by all of us. Yet all of us have something to contribute. It's a shared responsibility. As the deadline for the Sustainable Development Goals nears, we are only 4 or 5 years, and we are very much far behind, not only in education, but also in related goals as well across the agenda. We owe it to our children and young people and all working in the education sector and other sectors that contribute to school safety to join together and build a safer safer future for all children, young people, and those of us who have to benefit who can contribute to education and learning. So thank you once again to keynote speakers, Honorable Minister, Mr. Kishore, and also panelists, regional affiliates representatives, and everyone who joined our webinar. And we very much look forward to continuing this journey together this year. So thank you very much. And finally, I would like to say many thanks to the 4 colleagues from GADRES Secretariat who worked hard to put this webinar together. It's Jana, the coordinator, Anya, and Socrates, and Nadia. So thank you very much to colleagues from GADRES Secretariat. Thank you, and have a good day, good evening, and good afternoon. Thank you.